Hi, this is Nydia Goodyear. Today we'll be discussing the European history, culture, political system, religion, and economy of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. We'll start with the history of Portugal. In 1910, Portugal becomes a republic after King Manuel II steps down amid a revolution. In 1949, Portugal becomes a founding member of the North American Treaty Organization, otherwise known as NATO. In 1955, Portugal joins the United Nations. Now we'll continue with the history of Italy. In 1922, fascist leader Benito Mussolini forms a government after years of political and economic unrest following World War I. The fascist government's policies increased unemployment, decreased exports, and eventually led to a significant deflation, which was accentuated during the Great Depression in 1929. Continuing with the history of Italy, in 1929, the Vatican City State is created by the signing of the Lateran Treaty. From 1939 to 1945, after previously forming an axis with Nazi Germany in 1936, Italy entered World War II on the Nazi side. The war is a huge disaster for the nation, with the Italian army effectively being defeated in 1943. Italy goes on to become a battleground between Germany and the Allied forces until the conclusion of the war in 1945. Now moving on to the history of Greece. In 1830, Greece gains independence from the Ottoman Empire after the 8-year Greek War of Independence. In 1941, Germany invades and conquers Greece. The resulting occupation resulted in rapid inflation along with a severe famine during which over 100,000 Greeks died. In 1944, Greek and British forces unite to force the Nazis out of Greece. We're now moving on to the introduction to Portugal. Portugal is a country in southwestern Europe on the Iberian Peninsula. The Atlantic archipelagos of Azores and Madeira are also part of Portugal and occupy strategic locations along western routes to the Strait of Gibraltar. Portugal is bordered by Spain and the Atlantic Ocean. The geography is mountainous north of the Tagus River. Portugal has a service-based mixed economy in which the government has privatized many state-controlled firms and liberalized areas of the economy. Portugal is also a member of the European Union. It has a population of a little over 10 million. Its total labor force is a little over 5 million, and the unemployment rate is 14.2%. And all this is from statistics from 2014. Introducing Italy now. Italy is a country located in southern Europe comprising the boot-shaped Italian peninsula and a number of islands including Sicily and Sardinia. Neighboring countries include Austria, France, Slovenia, and Switzerland. Italy also has a strategic location dominating central Mediterranean as well as proximity to Western Europe across the Adriatic Sea. It also has a diversified industrial economy, which is divided into a developed industrial north dominated by private companies and less developed welfare-dependent agricultural south. Italy is a member of the European Union. It has a population of over 60, close to 61 million. Its total labor force is 25 million, and unemployment rate is 12.5. Moving on to Greece. Greece is a country located in southern Europe on the southern end of the Balkan Peninsula, possessing an archipelago of about 2,000 islands. Greece has land borders with Albania, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Turkey, the Aegean Sea, the Ionian Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. Greece has a strategic location dominating the Aegean Sea and southern approach to the Turkish Straits. Greece has a market economy in which the prices of goods and services are determined in a free price system. Greece is also a part of the European Union. Population total is a little over 10 million. Labor force is a little over 4 million, almost close to 5. And unemployment rate is higher than both Portugal and Italy at 26.3%. We continue to move over to the culture of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. The first items we're going to discuss are low power distance and high power distance. This index measures the extent to which less powerful members of an organization or organizations and institutions like the family accept and expect that power is distributed equally. This represents inequality, more versus less, but defined from below, not from above. It suggests that a society's level of inequality is endorsed by the followers as much by the leaders. As we can see, Greece is Greece is 60, Portugal is 63, and Italy is 50. We move over to collective and individualism. Individualism is the one side versus its opposite, collectivism. That is a degree to which individuals are integrated into groups. On the individual side, we find societies in which the ties between individuals are loose. Everyone is expected to look after him, herself, and her immediate family. On the collectivist side, we find societies in which people from birth onwards are integrated into strong, cohesive in-groups, often extended families, which uncles, aunts, and grandparents will continue protecting them in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. As we can see, this happens in collectivism is more prominent in Portugal, gets a little bit higher in Greece, and more individualism is in Italy. We move on to masculinity versus its opposite, femininity, which refers to the distribution of roles between the genders, which is another fundamental issue for any society to which a range of solutions are found. The IBM studies reveal that women's values differ less among societies than men's values from one country to another, and contain dimensions from very assertive and competitive and maximally different from women's values on the other side, to modest and caring and similar to women's values on the other. The assertive role has been called masculine, and the modest caring is feminine. So as we can see, Portugal is closer to being more feminine. Greece is kind of sort of in the middle, and Italy is very masculine. And from here we move on to uncertainty acceptance and uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance deals with the society's tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. It ultimately refers to a man's search for truth. It dictates to what extent a culture programs its members to feel either uncomfortable or comfortable in unstructured situations. Unstructured situations are novel, unknown, surprising, and different from the usual. Uncertainty avoiding cultures try to minimize the possibility of such situations by strict laws and rules, safety and security measures, and on the philosophical and religious level by a belief in absolute truth. There can only be one truth, and we have it. As we can see, Greece is very close to uncertainty, or is 112 on the uncertainty avoidance. Portugal is 104, and Italy is 72. Now we move on to political systems in Portugal, Italy, and Greece. Portugal has a Portugal's government is a republic. The chief of the state is the president, and the head of the government is the prime minister. In Italy, the government system is a republic. The chief of state is the president, and the head of the government is the prime minister. So it is exactly as Portugal. Greece, the government is a parliamentary republic. The chief of state is the president, and the head of the government is the prime minister. We continue to religion and ethnic groups of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. Portugal with Italy overall is close to 90% Roman Catholic. Greek, on the other hand, has 96% or 98% Greek Orthodox. Some things we don't know about the Greek Orthodox religion is that, or some things that they would like us to know is that they don't worship Mary. In fact, a lot of people believe that they don't worship Christ, that they worship Mary, and that is a little bit of a myth. Orthodox Christians state and affirm over and over again through the worship services that God alone is the only one who they worship. That is a very important fact. They did want us to know. Portugal again and Italy are predominantly Catholic. Portugal has a mix of citizens which they do come from Black African descent who migrated to mainly during the colonization, and it's about less than 100,000. Italians includes a small number of German, French, and Slovene Italians in the north, and Albanian Italians and Greek Italians in the south. Now we're going to move over to the corruption perception index of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. What is the corruption perception index? Basically, they define who is misusing public power for private benefit. The current CPI index currently ranks 168 countries on a scale from 100, which is very clean, to 0, which is highly corrupt. As we can see, Portugal is number 61, Italy is number 21, and Greece is number 58. So again, the scale is from 100, very clean, to 0, highly corrupt. So as we can see here, the most corrupt is Italy. On the constraint graph, we can see that Portugal is number 65, Italy 86, and Greece is number 138 on the economic freedom scale. What is economic freedom? Economic freedom is the fundamental right of every person to control his or her own labor and property. In an economically free society, individuals are free to work, produce, consume, and invest in any ways they please. With that freedom, both protected by the state and unconstrained by the state. So as we can see here, Italy or Greece is not very free to practice that, and that may be the reason that their unemployment rate is higher than both Italy and Portugal. It's actually almost both combined equal that amount of unemployment. Now we move on to the country risk rating of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. What is the country risk rating? It's almost like a credit rating for the country. It's a collection of risks associated with investing in a foreign country. These risks include political risk, exchange rate risk, economic risk, sovereign and transfer risks. Again, it's kind of like a credit rating system. The country risk varies from one country to the next. Some countries have high enough risk to discourage much foreign investment. As we can see, Portugal, it has an A4 credit rate, or A4 risk rating. Italy has an A3, and Greece is falling short again with a C. We continue to import a rank of Portugal, Italy, and Greece. As we can see on this graph, Portugal is number 36 out of 137. And just on a side note, their top 3 exported goods are motor vehicles and parts, electrical machinery, and oil and mineral fuel. On imports, Italy is ranked 11 out of 137. Their top 3 exported goods in 2015 were industrial machinery, motor vehicles, parts, and electrical machinery. Greece is ranked number 45 out of 137, and their top 3 exported goods were oil and mineral fuels, aluminum, and industrial machinery. We move on to the ease of doing business in Portugal, Italy, and Greece. This system almost uses the same as the credit ranking of countries. Again, Portugal and Italy are ranked almost the same with an A2, and Greece is actually acceptable in comparison to credit rating, which is a little bit interesting. We continue to discuss the KOF index of globalization. And what is the KOF index of globalization? It is a ranking of the most global countries based on 3 dimensions of globalization, which are economic globalization, social, and political globalization. So this is what they mean by going global. As we can see here, Portugal is number 12, Italy is 24, and Greece is 22. And now we move on to the economy of Portugal. As we can see, Portugal's economy is, or GDP is close, or is 3 trillion, and this is all data from 2015. It is the 51st largest in the world. Its GDP per capita is 29,000. Growth averaged 0.54 from 2014 to 2015. In 2014, the growth rate was 0.91. In 2015, it was 1.45. So if I was looking to do business in Portugal, I would probably say that right now is a good time, and Portugal is an expanding economy. The top 3 trade partners in 2015 were Spain, Germany, and France. They're in textiles, they're manufacturing clothing, footwear, wood, and cork. Just on a side note, Portugal is the world's leading cork producer. They didn't say wine, they said cork, which is a little interesting. And we move on to the economy of Italy. Like Portugal, it's 3 trillion. It's the 53rd largest in the world. Its GDP per capita is 26,680. Their growth or lack of growth was actually negative 1.1 in 2014 to 2015. In 2014, there was a negative 0.34%. It did come up in 2015 to 0.76. If I were someone doing business in Italy, I would say that the industry is growing. However, maybe it's still lacking from the recession in 2014. Their top 3 trade partners are Germany, Italy, and Russia. The top 3 industries are tourism, food, tobacco processing, textiles, and chemicals. And lastly, but not least, we move on to Greece. Greece has a GDP of 2 trillion. It's the 9th largest in the world. GDP per capita is 33,000. The growth went from a negative 0.42 in 2014 to 2015. In 2014, the growth was 0.65. In 2015, 0.23. Their top 3 trade partners are Germany, Italy, and Russia. Their top industries are tourism, food, tobacco, processing, textiles, and chemicals. Overall, I would say if I were someone doing business in a foreign country at the moment, I would personally go with Portugal. I have heard that many companies like Netflix are moving their customer service industries there. So if it were me, that's what I would do right now. And this has been the presentation for today on the European history, culture, political system, religion, and economy of Portugal, Italy, and Greece.